All right, so it's very, very clear and apparent that something has to be done in the WNBA. We are ready to get into the second half of the season, but thus far, the first half of the season has been filled with negative drama, nasty news articles, the WNBA looking like the complete circus and clown show that it is. Kathy Engelbert clearly cannot handle the job, and I believe that this is the time Adam Silver is about to step in. The signs have been pointing that way. He clearly...
Welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into one of the biggest stories surrounding the WNBA, and Caitlin Clark. No one expected the toughest challenge facing the WNBA's brightest new star to come from behind closed boardroom doors rather than on the basketball court. What began as a rookie's introduction to the professional game quickly grew into a league-wide business concern. Instead of simply adapting to the WNBA, her impact forced the league to confront new pressures of its own. As the spotlight intensified, conversations expanded far beyond hard fouls and on-court rivalries. The focus shifted to protecting one of the league's most valuable rising stars and safeguarding the momentum that had brought unprecedented attention to women's basketball. Suddenly, every controversial moment carried consequences that reached well beyond the final buzzer.
I kind of want to talk about this because this, for me, is the worst one of the worst takes I've ever seen in my life. And it is hilarious looking back on this. Let's take a listen.
I don't know if it's going to be Caitlin doing it for Caitlin. I think an external event has to happen. Raven Johnson starts, right?
Oh my God. Can you imagine? Like,
I literally cannot.
I literally cannot imagine Caitlin getting back.
Raven Johnson is only entering the starting lineup if it comes at the expense.
I'm going to start with kind of a development in the Alyssa Thomas situation. She was suspended a game after that foul on Caitlin Clark. Since then, she was receiving a lot of hate, death threats, etc. Caitlin Clark herself also spoke out and said nobody in the league should be facing any kind of harassment. According to multiple sources, Adam Silver contacted Kathy Engelbert and told her something needed to be done. Like, essentially, he pressured her, allegedly.
People are giving Caitlin Clark some props today. Props because she is one of the only players over the weekend who actually tried to give fans what they paid for at the All-Star game. Jason Whitlock earlier today, he said Caitlin Clark put the WNBA on the map. Caitlin Clark saved the WNBA. And then Saturday night's All-Star game, she looked left, she looked right, and she saw her peers make a mockery of said All-Star game and destroy
Silver just said today, the commissioner of the NBA, he wishes that Clark had been put on the team USA Olympic team.
Why didn't you say that, Rudy?
Because they're tired of funding this goddamn league.
They're tired of funding the league.
And I watched another podcast where there's a guy who does a lot of data stuff, and I'll tag him on this. I forget his name, but I watch this guy's podcast, and he said that the projection this year for the WNBA is to lose $50 million. I don't know how.
The first half of the WNBA season, obviously for Caitlin Clark fans, was riddled with, back injury and, just non-clarity on her day-to-day, game-to-game situation. 1 minute she's playing normal, then next minute she's on a minutes restriction. The minutes restriction never comes off. Then she's off. I mean, it's just been a circus. All of the brutal attacks, all of the negative, nasty things that have happened throughout the league early on, that is kind of taken away from
Kathy's a goner after this season. Once that season wraps, she's out of here. Okay? And we've been asking for that. We've been asking for a new commissioner of the WNBA. However, I fear on who Adam Silver is going to replace her with. It came out that Kathy did not want to suspend AT after her incident with Caitlin Clark. And then Adam Silver rings her phone and is like, no, you're going to suspend her ass. Flagrant 2, $1,000. And Kathy's hands aren't clean because girly pop, you should have a backbone. You're running this league. You can sit there and be like, I'm not doing that because it's wrong. And I truly believe she knows she's going to lose.
of Alyssa Thomas. And I think this is a big deal. I feel the suspension escalated the situation. And it's like, why is there this focus on this punishment as opposed to what I feel is a lack of focus on protecting these players from harassment? And I know there's only so much they can do. We're going to talk about Chelsea Gray and what happened with Chelsea Gray this week. The Aces released a statement saying, we do not condone or support this behavior. We're with Chelsea.
Because they're spending money. They're spending a lot of money that they don't have.
What Kanye West say? I got a problem with spending money before.
Because they came up with all these numbers for attendance and how everything's increased. At 33% of the attendance in the actual WNBA this season is Indiana.
Yeah.
They average 17,000. The rest of the league averages 7. You tell me that she's not the person.